Welcome to my very first video here from Russia. We are in the city that is often called the most beautiful city of Russia, and it is also known as Russia's cultural heart and the window to the West. Welcome to St. Petersburg. One of our first major stops is St. Isaac's Cathedral. It's this massive complex here behind me. I'm not sure if you can actually see how huge it really is in the camera, but it's incredible. I think if you compare the size of the people to the building, you can probably estimate the dimension of this church a little bit. Nowadays, it serves as a museum, and I've heard that from up there, you can get some of the greatest views over St. Petersburg. Apparently there is no elevator, so we have to climb up the stairs to get all the way up there, but it's fine to do a little bit of a workout because we will be rewarded with amazing views, I think. There's a countdown that counts down the stairs that are still missing to get up, and the number gets smaller and smaller, which is a little bit motivating. It's not too hard though, like literally anybody can do this, and the views from up here are spectacular. They don't disappoint, that's for sure. So for 300 rubles that I paid to get up here, this is absolutely worth it to get a great overview of the city of St. Petersburg. From up here, we also have a great overview over several sites of St. Petersburg. We can back there see the Winter Palace that we are of course also going to visit later on. It's one of the most impactful sites and most impressive sites and very symbolic for the city. There's the riverfront here that we can see from up here, which is also stunning. Like the views seriously are absolutely epic. St. Petersburg was known by many names over the years. At first it was called Petrograd in order to honor the Tsar Peter the Great. It basically means the city of Petro. But it was known as Petrograd during World War I. And later on, after Lenin's death, the city was renamed to Leningrad in order to honor the founder of the Soviet state. In 1991, it was renamed again back to St. Petersburg to remember the origin of the city, its history and its original culture. By then, the Soviet Union has collapsed and therefore the city came back to its roots. Basically, all of the buildings you can see in the city are incredibly impressive. They are beautiful, they are colorful, there are many ornates and details on the buildings, and it seems like every building must be something special. It is the style of the city in general. It has a lot of neoclassical elements and it is a quite unique city and makes it super opulent. From up there, we've seen the opulent architecture of St. Petersburg. It is super impressive and the history of the city is very interesting as well. It actually explains the opulent architecture and the style of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg was founded by the Tsar Peter the Great. Tsars, by the way, were Russian emperors or supreme Russian rulers before Russia became a republic. And the Tsar Peter the Great founded St. Petersburg in order to create some window to the Western world. He wanted to modernize the city and he wanted to make it the capital of Russia. And with that, St. Petersburg became the capital and also a major European city in between 1712 and 1918. But with the Bolshevik Revolution starting and also with World War I starting, the location of St. Petersburg became a little bit dangerous for being a capital. It is located right in front of the sea and therefore they decided to relocate the capital of Russia back to Moscow. Just in front of the cathedral St. Isaac, there's this Mariinsky Palace here. It was an imperial residency and it was completed in 1844. Nowadays it serves as the seat of the Parliament of St. Petersburg. We are now hopping on a little Canel boat tour. St. Petersburg is actually also known as the Venice of the North. There are lots of canals here and we want to explore the city from the waterfront. We got a very special price. Usually you would be paying 1,500 rubles for this tour per person. We paid only 1,000, which is the children's price. But I believe this is only possible nowadays due to the difficulties that tourists face, international tourists that want to travel to Russia. If you've seen my very first video of how to visit Russia already, you know of all these difficulties due to the sanctions and the war going on still. There aren't many tourists here, at least not many international tourists. You do see some Chinese people, but very little, and most of the people we see are actually from Russia itself. This tour is going to last 1 hour, as far as I understood it, and we are going to see important landmarks of St. Petersburg. You will get panoramic views even from downside. There's an inside part which has glass everywhere, so you can get beautiful views from there as well. And then there's this upper part here where you get even better views. And there's also a toilet, by the way, just in case you need it. There is a tour that is in Russian. I don't understand the word, but luckily I am a little bit self-educated. And that's why I can also tell you that here behind me we can see one of the most important landmarks of St. Petersburg, which is the Winter Palace. We're going to visit this later on as well. And then on this side, this fort was one of the very first structures that was built here in St. Petersburg by the Tsar Peter the Great. The Peter and Paul Fortress was founded on May 16, 1703. The first priority was to engineer a fort to protect the settlement. One of the most significant parts is the Peter and Paul Cathedral, where most of the Russian imperial family members are buried, including Peter the Great himself. The fortress also historically served as a prison for high-ranking political figures. The views from the water are absolutely spectacular, and I'm really enjoying this tour. It gives you a completely new view over this beautiful city. There are many ways how you can explore St. Petersburg. You do not have to take the boat tour if you don't want to. There's also walking tours. There are tours with horses, and there are also tours with old Soviet cars or kind of buses, small ones. So there are various options that you can take. I believe though that they are all in Russian because again, there aren't that many international tourists here. But anyway, you are preparing yourself with this video, so it's really not that big of a deal. We are now walking down the Nevsky Prospect, which is one of the main streets here in St. Petersburg. It is actually considered as one of the biggest avenues on earth. It is a bustling street full of shops, cafes and stores. And there are very important landmarks here along the street, such as this cathedral, the Kazan Cathedral behind me, which is an impressive structure. And to be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't even notice it's a cathedral. And then there's also the Singer's House, which is also known as the House of Books. It is one of the most beautiful structures and buildings of St. Petersburg, and you can find it right in front of the Kazan Cathedral. Here on this avenue, you don't really feel the impact of any sanctions because it is a very busy street. There are lots of businesses here. I'm not sure though how much of an impact the sanctions have on the life of Russians currently, but I will figure that out in another video once we've spent a few more days here. So if you are interested in learning more about the impact of the sanctions on daily Russian life, make sure to subscribe to the channel and we'll figure that out together in one of my next videos. Make sure to definitely enter the Kazan Cathedral. It is a beautiful church with spectacular light. I really wasn't expecting a place so special. And since it's a religious place, it is also completely free to visit. Next up is another beautiful church. This here behind me is the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood. It is a deeply beautiful church and also historically a very important spot. There is a dramatic history behind this church. Precisely on this point where the church has been built, Tsar Alexander II has been assassinated. He got killed by a bomb that has been thrown into his carriage. It took 24 years in total to build this church due to its very complex construction and the many details in the architecture. We just arrived at the Palace Square, which is a huge square, and just the entrance here behind me is already super impressive. We walked through the arch and there are lots of details within the arch, and on top of the arch it is beautiful. And now at this square you will find one of the top 5 museums on earth, at least it is known as one of the top 5, and that is the Winter Palace. It is also known as the Hermitage Museum, and this palace served as the residence of the emperors in between 1732 and 1917. Nowadays you can enter it, there's a museum inside, and you can explore this beautiful palace from the inside as well. If you really want to visit the palace, make sure to not plan this visit on a Monday, because the palace unfortunately is closed on Mondays. So we are a little bit upset now in Galuite in front of the palace. For 350 rubles you can get this kind of cinnamon roll. It's not a cinnamon roll. It has Nutella on it and it's crusty. This is not really here from Russia, just so you know. It is from Eastern European countries. Like, you can find these kind of things in a lot of Eastern European countries. But it's good though, and highly recommended. There are many palaces in and around St. Petersburg. It is impossible to show you all of them, but there was one that I really wanted to visit, and that is the Peterhof here behind me. It is a palace that was started to build in 1719, and it was meant to be the residence of the Tsar. It was built as a direct response to the Palace of Versailles in France. It is a bit outside of St. Petersburg. It will take you a while to get here. You can either take an Uber or public transport to get here, but I believe it is absolutely worth it. It's not only the palace, it is the whole garden area that is in front of it that is absolutely stunning, colorful. There are lots of beautiful plants here, lots of things to discover, and a lot of beautiful fountains. It is in general a very picturesque place. St. Petersburg definitely feels European, however, everything here is way bigger than in the rest of Europe. The buildings are larger, it is like very extreme and very opulent. It's a beautiful city, and you can definitely tell why it is considered a cultural capital. St. Petersburg really is a city of sheer elegance and opulence, from its grand palaces to its museums and to its churches and cathedrals. I believe St. Petersburg should absolutely be on the list of anybody who wants to visit Russia. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning of my trip through Russia. So if you want to follow me along my adventures, you are more than welcome to do so. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in next week's video.